This is Robbie, mate, and you're watching Sport Icons.
Alright everybody, now something that all boxing fans love, they can get behind and support, are tournaments. People love the World Boxing Super Series, people love the Super 6 in years gone by before. We love tournaments because we know who's going to be fighting who, and should they progress, who they're going to be fighting next, and of course what the ultimate prize is at the end of the tournament. We love that. Now here in the UK we have a lot of heavyweights, and I'm talking British and below. We have a lot of them have maybe one loss or are undefeated, all that kind of stuff, but they don't really fight each other. Of course, the most recent one where they did fight each other was Stephen Robinson against Nick Campbell. They did fight each other, but for the most part, they don't really fight each other. So if I say a tournament, and if I gave you 8 fights involving 16 fighters at British level and below, in a tournament style, would you be interested? I think most people would say yes. Would the British Box Board of Control be interested? Maybe, because firstly, they'll get some commission off it. But secondly, of course, they wouldn't have to order the current British heavyweight champion in Fabio Wardley to defend it against a set opponent, because everything would be set out in place anyway. They could put the English title in there as well. Would Ben Shalom of Sky Sports and Boxer be interested? I think he would definitely say yes. I'm pretty sure he would. He loves tournaments, the Ultimate Boxer tournaments, before he joined up with Sky Sports. Even on Sky Sports, he's been doing those boxer tournaments in, say, Coventry and whatever else. So I think he definitely would. Calla Sauerland and Nissa Sauerland, Wasserman, would they be interested? I would say yes as well. Again, Calla Sauerland loves tournaments. Look at his involvement with the World Boxing Super Series. So he would. Dennis Hobson, I believe he would. Mick Hennessy, I believe he would, and other promoters out there, they would. The only stumbling blocks I feel would be certain fighters with, say, Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn. For example, I don't think Eddie Hearn would release Johnny Fisher into a tournament style. I don't think Frank Warren would release David Adelaide in a tournament style. Reason being, with Johnny Fisher, he's a huge ticket seller. Eddie Hearn ain't going to want to risk him in a tournament, as much as Johnny Fisher could win this particular tournament. Johnny Fisher would probably want to enter this particular tournament. But I don't think Eddie Hearn would allow it, much like I don't think Frank Warren would allow David Adelaide. He's currently 10-0. He would be the next in line, if you like, behind a Dan Dubois, a Joe Joyce, and a Tyson Fury. So they're going to want to keep him at arm's length. They're not going to allow him to go fight in a tournament style, in my opinion. If I'm wrong on that, I'd love to be wrong. I really would on both accounts. But I think Eddie Hearn, he would release, say, Solomon Dakers. Again, he's used to tournament style with his GB background and that as well. He would allow, say, Fabio Wardley, who's currently the British heavyweight champion, because again, he would believe in Fabio Wardley. Anyway, so what about 8 fights? What do you think in a tournament style? What about the British heavyweight champion, 15-0 Fabio Wardley versus 4-0 Fraser Clark, Olympic bronze super heavyweight medalist? Now, you could say 15-0 versus 4-0, that's not right. Fraser Clark, Olympic medalist, outstanding amateur, across many different tournaments. Why not? He probably should be ahead of the rest. That'd be a great way to kick it off. It really would. Yes, of course, that's Matchroom and Boxer. But again, why not? Again, you know what? They can all work out who shows what fight, where and when. What about Nathan Gorman versus Cash Ali? Nathan Gorman, he lost for the British heavyweight title last time out against Fabio Wardley. He's currently a Wasserman fighter. What about taking on Dennis Hobson fighter in Cash Ali? Cash Ali 21-1. That one defeat, of course, was to David Price. We all know about that one. Why not? Why not? At least this would be a good way for, firstly, Cash Ali. He says he wants to become British heavyweight champion. There's his opportunity. Nathan Gorman, he can still get back on with the eyes on the prize of becoming British champion. Why not? What about Stephen Robinson? 6-1 versus 5-0 with one draw, Franklin Ignatius. There's a reason why I said this fight, which I'll come back to in a second. But I would love to see this fight. Really would. Franklin Ignatius, is he a Wasserman fighter now that he defeated Hosea Stewart last time out? Maybe, I'm not sure. Stephen Robinson, is he going to continue with Sky? Is he not? Again, that's all up to him. I have no idea. But why not? I'd love to see that fight. What about Tommy Welsh? 8-0, Mick Hennessy fighter, taking on Sky Sports boxer, Ben Shalom fighter, Jamie TKV Teshkiva, who's currently 3-0. So an 8-0 versus 3-0. Tommy Welsh looks like a real scary man. I don't think I've ever seen him smile. But of course, he is son of a British heavyweight legend. I met him in Cardiff at the beginning of the year in February. Lovely, lovely man when he's speaking with Stephen Robinson and that. But Tommy Welsh looking real, real good. This is the kind of fight that could... There's no reason why it couldn't happen. With Mick Hennessy and Ben Shalom, they do work together from time to time on Sky Sports. This is the kind of fight that could easily be made. TKV... I believe Ben Davidson's got something to do with him as well, but he's not his head trainer. But TKV, born and raised in London, but he did represent the Dominican Republic of Congo as an amateur, outstanding amateur, which is why Sky Sports have signed him. Why not? What about the Iceman, 11-0, Rob Ismay versus 5-0, Solomon Dakers. Rob Ismay, he's not tied down to a promotional network currently. Solomon Dakers is a matchroom fighter. But this is the kind of fight that should have the English heavyweight title on the line based on the British rankings. So this would be a very good fight. Robbie Smith, of course, I know him very well. He trains with Nicky Gittis over at the Wall's End Boxing Academy, managed by Phil Jeffries. So no reason in the world why this fight couldn't happen. I'd love to see that fight. What about Nick Campbell, 5-1 versus Jose Stewart, 2-1-1. Of course, the one loss and the one draw for Jose Stewart was to Franklin Ignatius. The one loss for Nick Campbell was to Stephen Robinson, which is why I said Stephen Robinson versus Franklin Ignatius. For those of you who maybe didn't understand why I said that one, now you do. But this is a good comeback fight for both of them. Is Nick Campbell still going to be part of Sky Sports going forward? I don't know. Is Jose Stewart, is he still a Wasserman fighter? I'm going to presume so. So again, no reason why this fight couldn't happen. What about Darryl Hall, 5-0 versus Mohammed Nadim Salim, 4-0. Salim, I believe, is a Sam Kinnock fighter. I know he's from Scotland. But why don't you take on 5-0 Darryl Hall? Darryl Hall trains with Jordan Williams at the Twins Academy. Very, very good fighter. Why not? Why not? I'd love to see that fight. That fight could happen on a Matty Job show or a Phil Jeffries show if no network was to pick up yet. I'd love to see it. What about George Fox, 4-1 versus Harry Armstrong, 5-0 with one draw. Harry Armstrong, he got that draw last time out to, again, another prospect. I think he was 1-0 who got that draw with. But George Fox, he lost last time out to Kamil Sokolowski. Sokolowski, no shame in losing to him. His record does him no justice. Sokolowski's been robbed many a time. Many a time. But of course, he does have some good wins on his record. He does. Nick Webb, Naylor Ball, and others, right? So George Fox losing to Sokolowski, he shouldn't take it too much to heart. But again, why not have this particular fight? Is George Fox still a Frank Warren fighter? I'm led to believe not. But I could be corrected to be wrong on that one. Okay, but I believe that he's not a Frank Warren fighter. But even if he was, I think Frank Warren probably would release George Fox into this kind of tournament. Harry Armstrong, is he a Steve Goodwin fighter? Again, I could be wrong on that one. Either way, of course, there are a lot of pros to this one. We all know who's going to be fighting who, what, where, and when. And of course, the ultimate prize would be for their British heavyweight title. Fabio Wardley currently has that, so there's no great prize for him. But if he gets right the way through to the final and wins, then he's won the British heavyweight title outright, hasn't he? So that's be a great achievement for him. Of course, certain parts of it would suck. For example, Stephen Robinson could end up fighting Rob Ismay. That's a fight I do not want to see. Personally speaking. They're both very, very good friends. I love them both. So, no, I don't want to see that. But ultimately, if somehow it gets navigated that they both fight each other in the final for the British Heavyweight Championship for some good money, why not? But anyway, as I said, this whole video is pretty much pie in the sky. But I think Ben Shalom would love to do it. Kalle Sauerland would love to do it. I think the biggest stumbling blocks would be Hearn and Warren. Really, I do. Anyway, my thoughts. You drop me yours. Click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you next video.